I would like to call upon Shri Alok Prem Nagarji, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Panchayati Raj, Dr. T.K. Sreedevi, Secretary to Government Municipal Administration Department, Government of Telangana, and Ms. Anna Roy, Senior Advisor, Niti Aayog, Shri Kapil Mohanji, former Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Karnataka, and Shri Anand, Iyer, Chief Policy and Insights Officer, Janaagraha, to join us. My first question goes to Shri Alok Prem Nagarji. Sir, there are state missions, national missions, and programs. How do we move when we are implementing those, or when we are construing those? How do we move beyond the rural-urban binary and adopt a more integrated and cohesive approach? And in doing so, what are the biggest challenges we face for integrating peri-urban areas, rural areas into the urban? And what institutional mechanism do you see essential for managing these transitional areas?
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and thanks to the organizers for having me here. I will draft my response with reference to what we have done in this domain in the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. We are not a very new ministry. We began in 2004, and our main purpose is advocacy and trying to empower panchayats and making sure that the vision of the 73rd Amendment gets realized, and so on and so forth. Over a period of time, we've also come to have an oversight over the devolution grants that go to all Gram Panchayats. So, by way of just informing the audience, if you are a Gram Panchayat and you are 10,000 strong voters, then 10,000 multiplied by approximately 700 is the amount of money you receive every year as devolution grant. So if you're a large panchayat, you receive more. If you're a smaller panchayat, you receive less. We got into this game for the first time in 2016-17, the result of which was the Rural Area Development Plan Formulation and Implementation Guidelines, RADFI guidelines. And we thought that that it's a fairly straightforward thing. People want better habitats, they want to live better, they want to have all manner of facilities within their neighborhood and slightly outside it. So there's no question that it would not get adopted. But it didn't go very far. In the sense that we didn't have states falling over each other trying to bring the RADFI guidelines, because it's a state subject and the states must pick up from it and put it into their systems, and subsequently the GPs would be, or the state agencies would be following that. So that didn't happen, and so we didn't hold our breaths, and then again in 2021 a revised version was again brought out of the RADFI guidelines. But then we also got into some practices. We have the panchayat boundaries with us because of the Survey of India village boundaries. And so mapping those, we found out all GPs that are close to national highways and state highways, and which have a population of 10,000 plus. 10,000 plus, the basis being that you should have some amount of money. If you are a GP in Uttarakhand and Punjab with only 500 people, you can't put your money where your intent is, and so we'll just stick with those that are rich and that have a steady stream of resources coming to them. And so we then had a list of GPs. We ran this list by the states, and we asked them to choose a group of Gram Panchayats in the vicinity of some planning architecture colleges. So as a result, 34 spatial development plans got made using 17 institutes all over the country. And that is when we engaged a lot of agencies. The point that was earlier made, sir, that there are so many agencies and it's very difficult to work. And it was also said that it is the only way it can work is if there is somebody like the Chief Minister heading it. So what we tried to do here, that we tried to involve all the agencies at all tiers. So at the GP level, the GP level representatives of all departments would be involved, and likewise for district and state, so that there would be greater ownership over the plans. And in time, all these people, as a part of their own annual plans of operation, are going to make those projects a part of their budget, and maybe the percentage of plan implementation would improve. So we have gone fairly far on that. And right now, there is a Atmanirbhar Panchayat, we call it, but it is a GP for Growth Center. We found out that even if a GP has got funds, we found out that out of all these proximal GPs, Gram Panchayats that were in the vicinity of cities, we found that there were 124 that had an own source of revenue of more than 2 crores every year. 292 GPs with an OSR of between 2 and 1 crore, and between 50 lakhs and 1 crore, there were 532 GPs. So that became our universe, from where we are going to have these GPs prepare plans with the help of experts that would be funded by us. So the job of these experts would be try and get these GPs to make 2, 3, or 5 remunerative projects that for which they'd be able to source loans from the bank. With their own sources of money, they'd be able to pay the margin money, and in time this would improve. So currently there are about 10 such projects that are being handled. NABCons are helping us prepare the plans for 5 of these GPs, and the other 5 we are looking for people to pick them up. What we also, and going back to the question that why was the adoption of these plans such a big ask. So as you're all aware, there are certain perverse reasons why people want to continue to be a part of the Gram Panchayats. Your Manrega funds, your Finance Commission, devolution grants dry up once you are an urban local body. Also, if you are a Panchayat elected representative, then you find that you have lost your ability to command, to lead people once you have been included in an urban local body. So if mechanisms could be devised that the changeover a little smooth, meaning that if for a certain number of years after a GP becomes an urban local body, if these people could continue to receive their grants as they were receiving when they were still rural. And also in the new dispensation where they're a part of the urban local body, if these people could retain their role as corporators, as people who are leading those areas which they were elected to represent, so the changeover would be easier, and it would be not to anybody's detriment. I come from a forestry background, and my job in the state was trying to convince people to protect forests, which was an ask because everything people want to do is over land. Here I find myself in a situation that there is no conceivable reason that somebody should be saying no to what is on offer. So rather than have all departments led by the CM, that's all very good, of course, but if we were to make this Panchayat our unit and treat them as people, intelligent people who are looking to have better habitats for yourself, give them the means to formulate these projects and provide them with access to the resources. That is also something that we saw being practiced in the states of Maharashtra, where there is a fund that panchayats can tap into using good plans. We also found that in Chennai, around Chennai, all GPs receive some amount of money from the metropolitan area body as a means of compensation, but of course that money goes into the execution of projects within those areas. There are similar such things happening elsewhere in the country as well. So, treat your GP as a body, as an entity in itself, with whom one should be talking and who should be leading this development. This whole changeover has to happen with these people and led by these people rather than despite them. Make available to them resources that can turn these opportunities into plans, bankable plans that any finance guy is going to look at and want to finance those. And make the changeover smooth. Don't have a different kind of a body. We have any number of bodies in any case. If they have to if they have to become a part of the urban local body, do that by all means, but have a smooth changeover strategy which makes the acceptance easier for both sides. So that has been our story, ma'am, and maybe a year from now I'll be able to tell you more.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Give it to her. Thank you for identifying the challenges and opportunities of the peri-urban areas. We at MAHUA, we are also trying to look at how do we bring about sustainable development in these areas. I think the SASCI reforms last year did include peri-urban areas, and also the PM Swanidhi is looking beyond urban to include the peri-urban as well. Now I would like to ask Sreedevi ji about urbanization and urban administration is trying to envision improving the quality of life of citizens. And as per your opinion, madam, what is the biggest challenge in the provisioning of services and also in bringing citizens engagement in urban areas? What is the biggest challenge you think?
Thank you very much for opportunity to be on the panel, and I'm grateful that Samir Sharma sir has in the spotlight set the tone wherein he spoke about the urbanization story. So I'm trying to bring in the perspective from Telangana state and how we move from this, and I also appreciate Alok Prem Nagar sir for actually talking about from the Panchayati Raj side. So in Telangana, we rightly recognize that the peri-urban areas are very, very important in terms of governance, because they are the ones which are found not just because they are getting the characteristics, urban characteristics, but also because when the cities, as sir mentioned earlier, there were only 4 metropolitan cities, and later Hyderabad, Bangalore have started growing. And then the people started, once there is congestion and high densification, people started moving to the fringes. And then they expect the same kind of governance. That is one way where migration is happening from the city to the fringe or the peri-urban areas. The second thing is people who are coming for job opportunities from rural areas, they cannot afford to be in urban in the cities with regard to the rentals as well as the real estate value. So they start living in the periphery of the cities. So this has been the story where the city started growing. For example, in Hyderabad, if you see, this is what has happened. Hyderabad as a municipal corporation was very small till 2007, and then in 2007 that had become Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation with almost like 700 square kilometers. And now when we talk about with the outer ring road or the road that has led this development, now we are having around 2,000 square kilometers within outer ring road, which is getting fast densification. So we identify that there is a need to have a urban framework for these peri-urban areas and need to integrate the peri-urban areas into the urban framework. So we have earlier tried with Hyderabad Urban Development Authority. Now we have Hyderabad Metropolitan Area Development Authority. So this is one way of looking at how we can actually integrate peri-urban areas into urban, because when we talk about rural governance, it is much simplified and the systems are not totally in place. For example, I will take, when we talk about building permissions or when we talk about layout permissions, it's much more easier in rural areas. Whereas in urban areas, it is systematically step by step, and the digital governance has brought in that there is a unified system in the whole of the state in urban areas. So when this transition happens, the rural areas, actually what Samir Sharma sir mentioned about LRS applications he mentioned, where layout regularization had to be taken up in sync with the urban governance. So that is where there are a huge number of applications coming where there are deviations. So in order to prevent this, we need to have a uniform system. So that is where we have come up with this build now that is called for layout and development permissions system, which is an online system for urban as well as peri-urban areas. There's another very important thing is about institutional capacity. When we are talking about having a framework, urban framework for governance, we also need to look at the municipal cadres that are available. So we did this in terms of having our municipal cadre strengthened. It's not just the truncated municipal administration, but we have also brought in like the accounts officers, we have brought in the environmental engineers, and we have brought in other required services like a ward level officer. But at the regional level, we also in sync with having regional planning, we also brought in what we call, sir was very rightly mentioning about additional collectors at the district level who look after the governance in both rural local bodies as well as urban local bodies. So this helps in a gradual transition from rural to urban areas, and also satisfying the aspirations of the people. So Telangana, when it was formed, we had 68 local bodies, urban local bodies. Now we have 160. And at that time in 2014, when the state was formed, we had 2 urban development authorities. Now we have 30. So when I'm talking about this, these are where peri-urban areas are brought in, because the district headquarters becomes the urban center and the surrounding areas have gotten into the urban development authorities more or less. And then, as I already mentioned, we have come up with a unified building permission system, layout permission system, as well as when we talk about areas, sir was talking about having a value capture finance methods. We have also defined the growth corridors around the urban areas where the impact fee or the betterment fee adds to the municipal finance. And these are actually distributed, as sir mentioned, that the Gram Panchayats within these areas get in terms of infrastructural development and other services. So this is one important thing. And then we have gone a little ahead now with regard to declaring the Telangana core urban region. All the areas within the outer ring road are now designated as Telangana core urban region, and all the activities are taken up at par, the municipal administration. We had around 58 Gram Panchayats left out, which we have converted or attached to the adjoining municipalities. If I tell you the geography of Telangana, Hyderabad especially, we have Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation surrounded by 29 local bodies. So this is either they are growing because of the growth of the city, or city is growing because of the facilities that these surrounding municipalities are giving. It is a very symbiotic relationship, because of which this Telangana core urban region is prospering, or it is on a growth trajectory. So there are services that have been brought in. Sir has also mentioned about Hydra. This is one of the act has been passed and an institution has been established, which is for protection of lakes as well as rivers and nalas, so that these are not encroached and they are not constricting the water flows or what is required for having a clean environment. So Hydra has been brought in, HMDA has been, Act has been promulgated, and the semi-urban area also are brought into the Hyderabad metropolitan area development. So this is another thing which has been taken up. And then in terms of governance, we are all our 21 services, municipal services are online, and we follow the double entry accrual based accounting system, and we also have a very strong and robust grievance redressal system. We have something called the Citizen Buddy, which is an app which has been developed where any of the grievances can be uploaded, and then as per the citizen charter, those grievances are redressed. So this is for 160 municipalities across the state of Telangana. Uniform system is maintained for building permissions, for grievance redressals, for municipal services like your birth, death certificate, or any other service that the municipality has to offer. So by doing this, we have created an environment for urbanization, answering to the, or responding to the need of urbanization that is happening, the rapid urbanization that is happening in the country, also in Telangana.
Thank you, ma'am. I think you have very nicely put out the story of Telangana, how the state has acknowledged the symbiotic relationship between urban and peri-urban, and how citizen-friendly governance is being shaped up through creating institutions and also the governance mechanism of bringing about an integrated development in the state. And also your leadership matters. I think it has been a really great working with you. Whenever I have invited you, you have never said no to it. Thank you for that. Now I would like to turn to Ms. Anna Roy, Senior Advisor, Niti Aayog. Again, I'm really grateful to you and to, I think, all the panelists and the audience for coming on a Sunday morning. And she has guests at home, but still she did not say no to my request. Thank you once again for that. Ma'am, I would like to ask, like, we will be working with you on the small city initiative where we will be looking at the regional governance. But as per your experience and expertise, your knowledge, what are the policy levers which are most effective in strengthening governance in small and medium towns from a regional perspective, while we are also envisioning the cities as growth hubs? And what do you think, what the small towns would need to really act as levers of urban governance? Thank you.
Thank you, Debolina. So, you know, I was on a panel with Secretary Mohua a day before yesterday, and when he asked me somewhat a similar question, I started with giving the context. So while Dr. Sharma gave a very good overview of what has happened over the time and, you know, urbanization as a whole, Joint Secretary Panchayati Raj spoke about the rural issue. And Madam spoke about, you know, ground level issues, what it takes for the people on the ground at ULBs and others, and this in context of state of Telangana. I come from Niti Aayog, and when Niti Aayog was set up in 2015, it was basically to give a vision as against the very top-down approach of the erstwhile Planning Commission. Now in Planning Commission also there used to be a division called PPD, Perspective Plan Division, but that was only one division. And I'm from the economic service, so I know very cerebral people who were into modeling and, you know, all that kind of econometrics, etc., were posted there. The best in the service was posted there, and that they were the ones who were doing the visioning, the planning, etc. But the main focus of Planning Commission was very, very heavy-handed top-down approach in allocation of resources. With Niti Aayog, the primary focus shifted to looking at vision, promoting cooperative federalism, working with states, working with the ministries, because ministries ultimately are, you know, they are the ones who will come out with policy, but working with the ministry to give overall perspective, because say if you are in Mohua or if you are in Panchayati Raj, the way we work, basically that is your area, and there is very limited kind of interaction. That is how, and even within Niti, we have 23 division, hardly anybody speaks to anybody else. So Niti's role was to provide a platform where different stakeholders come together, both from the government and private sector, in order to look at the vision and come out with solutions. So I was posted in urbanization in 2023. Earlier that year, in a post-budget webinar, Honorable Prime Minister said that if we have to meet the goal of Viksit Bharat, of making India developed, a 30 trillion economy country by 2047, we need to reimagine our cities, our urban planning. So why did he say that? Because, you know, when you talk about growth, it's basically urban centers are the growth drivers. They are the engines of growth. This is what we have studied in economics. And when you measure growth and development, these are the parameters, you know, rate of urbanization, rate of growth of secondary sector, etc. But the way over the past decades that urbanization has evolved has led to many of the issues which my previous speakers in their own way have tried to address. We talk about urban sprawl. That really happened because planning was very spatial and limited to the urban administrative boundaries. So obviously, you know, if you want to avoid the regulations, you go beyond. And then about what was spoken about, you know, he mentioned a word that you need to give them their due, the Panchayati, the Gram Panchayats, and do not question their intelligence. And you know, the Joint Secretary made these comments. This was because it was felt that, you know, that is something which need to transition, and it was basically a disconnect. And that is what led to a lot of these problems. So Niti Aayog, under the Growth Hub initiative, spoke about regional planning. So you plan for the cities, but you look at the region around the cities. Because it will, today what is urban sprawl, say around Telangana will become part of the city, and then the area outside that will become urban sprawl of tomorrow, if you plan in, if you continue to plan in that way. So Niti Aayog really brought a vision of regional planning, where region becomes the unit, and planning which keeps three aspects up front. You plan for the growth of economy and investment, you plan for sustainability, ensuring sustainability, and you plan for inclusivity and livability of the cities. So what, you know, under city regions as Growth Hub, when we talk about it, it's not really urbanization. It will include Panchayati Raj issues also, the rural growth issues also, and it's basically a planning approach at, say, 60,000 elevation level, and with a long-term vision. And then you work backwards. You say you work for the core city. Madam referred to Telangana, you know, Hyderabad core city, and various other models. One thing which came out was one-size-fit-all approach will not handle. We need, for each region, we need to start with a baselining, involvement of constituents at all levels. And we just, you know, Shatrughan is here, and we finished the one in Bhubaneswar very successfully. We are awaiting the launch. So district collectors, other constituents, PSUs, private sector, and departments, they all came together, whom we connected to the departments in the central ministry, GOI. So economic angle, you know, if you keep that in mind, then you know how the city is growing, what are the growth drivers, how do you need to plan for it. So that is where, and then the last thing with which I will end it is the governance. You know, when you say that, okay, we need some kind of authority overseeing this, if you just, like Bangalore has done it, but if you just say, okay, we need this authority under a CM who will monitor all the programs. But what Gujarat has done is, after making plans for the entire state, like after Surat, they have come out with 5 different regional plans. Now they have a perspective, okay, we have these X number of projects. It involves these many stakeholders, and then they have, you know, proposed authorities to allow convergence, common planning, and then working towards where both urban areas and rural areas and peri-urban areas will come into focus.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for highlighting the regional planning approach, and that one size fits all do not work. And also there is a need for multi-stakeholder engagement as we work on the cities as growth hubs. We have a small section on the perspective or the stories coming from cities and states. So in that regard, I have the honor of inviting Shri Kapil Mohanji, the former Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Karnataka. Sir, what are the challenges in metropolitan urban governance which Bangalore has faced, and what new initiatives are there for the Bangalore governance which have recently been implemented, and how do they propose to tackle the challenges? If you could briefly throw light on these 2 aspects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will be talking deliberately about Bangalore because that's my brief. For metropolitan governance, the challenges for a very large, fast-growing metropolis, which is also a hub for economic activities and attracts migrants, were unique. And there has been much disquiet about it in social media and other spheres also. Needless to say, one of the major challenges which the Bangalore was facing was rapid urbanization. It added about 150 square kilometers every decade for the last 4 years, last 3 years. And the pace is still going on. Now this rate of urbanization, there is a response was to increase the area of the urban governance, urban local bodies. Then you found that it came with its own set of problems. Then of course there was a disconnect in the planning. And also most importantly, it was found that as the administrative structures had evolved over a period of time, the role of the urban local bodies as put in 74th Amendment and all today was getting very diminished, and we saw the rise of the parastatals. This is hardly 20 to 25% of the public resources which were being spent were within with this, and there was an absolute lack of coordination and planning, leading to infrastructural bottlenecks, a lack of satisfaction level, lack of the growth and all. And so way back 2015, this attempt started, and it has, that was to bring about some change. While we have talked in various forums, and they are very people, sectoral experts, and of course, Mr. Sharma, my senior, is here. People have talked about it. Finally, it was decided to bite the bullet. It was a 10-year effort. It has got bipartisan support. Let me put it very clearly. Now that since I'm not in pure government, I can say it. Any urban governance cannot be dissociated from the political side also. And if we keep on avoiding this, we are not going to get anywhere over there. And we find, of course, very difficult because it is a very loaded area to work upon. But nonetheless, with the participation of civil society organization, most of the organizations which are present here, in one form or the other, have also fed into this, WRI, IHS, so on and so forth. Then a structure which has been brought, and it was passed, please, in the assembly. I will talk about it. Please note that it was quite unanimously. Also, because of the inherent tension which we have in centralization and decentralization, there are benefits on both the sides as we work. We had to manage this in the overarching 74th MPC, the legal and the constitutional challenges which would be there and all. So this took a lot of effort. And still there is a scope for improvement nonetheless. But finally, the Greater Bangalore Authority has been constituted. And we hope that in times to come, it will be able to address many of these concerns. It is absolutely must. It's the fastest growing city. On the last count, it contributes approximately 360 to 380 billion US dollars as the GDP. It's an economic engine of sorts as of now, particularly in the new age sectors which is there. We of course have Hyderabad nearby, yes, which we always like to healthily compete with. So now coming to the Greater Bangalore Authority, what the bill is basically talks about 3-tier governance, and at the top tier is GBA, or the Greater Bangalore Authority. The main role and the need of the Greater Bangalore Authority is for coordination and planning. Mr. Sharma and somebody else also mentioned, yes, it doesn't work. We have been there. In the states, is the chief minister. Okay, that's the way it is, okay. So how do we bring the parastatals, which have got individual hierarchies, with individual political bosses, to talk to each other and cooperate in implementation in the ground? How do you see that their priorities converge? Now that was the need for the Greater Bangalore Authority, and it is headed by the Chief Minister, the Vice Minister. Of course, other states also have, where big metros are there. They have a dedicated, minister, cabinet minister for those metropolitan areas. He's the Vice Minister. And then all the parastatals, apart from the commissioners and all, they are also into the part of this thing. I don't want to go into those details, available all on online, Texity, everything is here. But I was just trying to tell why. The why was that this was the problem. You are not going to go anywhere. You are not going to introduce efficiency. You are not going to create quality infrastructure unless these issues are resolved. So it has been constituted. It will have a chief commissioner, which will be sufficiently senior. And then it will also have planning functions. Now, before anybody thinks that it is, about the Metroplan MPC and the conflict over therein and the role of the corporation bodies, suffice to say, those have been taken care of. We rest assured, by this time, there would have been a PIL and would have succeeded. Okay, that is the proof of pudding lies in its eating. Okay, so that has been done, and in legal terms, for the Greater Bangalore area, the local planning authority is Greater Bangalore Authority. That is to ensure uniformity in the land use and the planning exercise which will happen in the future. Then the next year is, of course, it was found that one single body was finding it very difficult. There's a lot of permutation and combination has taken place. There are benefits of having one body, better coordination, break them up closer to the people who can deliver. I am just putting it brief. But anyway, they decided to break into 5. And they will have commissioners. They will be discharging the functions which have been given to them rightfully under 74th. In addition to that, they will also be tasked certain common areas between them, particularly the issues of C&R and transferability of people will be decided by the Greater Bangalore Authority for them. So that coordination will be there, but they will be under the administrative control of the Commissioner. I gave this example to tell you how the balancing has been tried to be done into this. And then the lowest level is where a lot of thought went. So there are ward committees and ward committees. So the councillor would be heading a ward committee. There would be 400 wards. The ward committees will have now 20 members, 10 would be 14 members, 7 would be nominated, 7 would be taken up by draw of lots from such people who have applied and shown interest into that. That will be done by the Election Commission. We are toyed with the idea of proportional representation, which was found to be politically difficult to go through that actually. So I'm just telling you that there has been a concurrent exercise on political side as well as the administrative side to bring about these changes, okay? So that was that. And the ward committees will have been given specified duties. And also, funds will be transferred to the ward committees for implementing in works in their areas. Through them, it will be routed. And they have been given certain duties, particularly about ensuring water supply and closer to the people. The principle of subsidiarity best works when it's closer to the people and all this. In all the 3 levels, 2 more things which have been done is that whatever powers have been given, the finance also flows that. So the monies which will be released to parastatals for cross-cutting infrastructure projects or where it is felt they will be going across the corporation boundaries shall be routed through the Greater Bangalore Authority. Similarly, for ward committees, for certain works which shall be done on all those things up to a certain cutoff level, it shall be routed through the ward committees. Secondly, there is a scope for domination so that people who are other stakeholders who may not be necessarily succeeding or willing to participate in the political process to come into that, they can be incorporated. But they will obviously not have non-voting powers, but a provision has been made at all the 3 levels for those things. We hope, and then of course, I have not touched upon it because in the next session we are supposed to be talking again. So it has a very, if I put it very simply, a very thick layer of digitalization involved in it. And more happily, if I may say, that the Act has made certain amendments which validate the digital interventions. So, giving an example, if you raise an issue about undervaluation of a property tax through a non-intrusive process utilizing technology, that has been given a status for fixing your property tax assessment. Then of course the appellate process will be there. Now that was not there. We were assistive. We are not this thing and all those things. So that portions I have deliberately avoided into that. We sincerely hope that in times to come for metropolitan governance, this is strictly only for metropolitan governance, the area of the Greater Bangalore Authority here is slightly differing from that of the MPC. MPC exists. MPC is much larger area, but the MPC now will be headed by the Chief Minister, and the Chief Commissioner of the Greater Bangalore Authority would be member secretary of that. Since the Greater Bangalore Authority has its own independent finances and all, and has got its own technical, legal, financial planning where the strengthening of the structures is concerned, they should be able to utilize the same resources for the MPC to make far more effective perspective plans than what they have been doing there. The fact, the unsaid thing, the fact that both the key functionaries would be heading both would give more teeth to an advisory MPC product through the GBA for its implementation in an area which may be slightly lesser than that of the MPC, but we can define that as core areas. Sreedevi just now mentioned, I mean, we call it Greater Bangalore area, which is over there and all. So this has been an iterative exercise, and I thought of sharing this, that what many of the concerns which have been was expressed in MOA's, some advisory committee meetings and all, we have tried to incorporate. 2 more which I will just mention in one line is, one is Economic Development Agency. The Greater Bangalore Authority will have an economic development agency. It recognizes that the cities will learn to market themselves as destinations. Now that's a very key thing because they had been passive till now, But they realize that those are the engines of growth. Those are the one which attract investments, which are the GCCs come there. They don't go to tier 2 towns also. So whatever we try. So that sort of a thing. A second would be cross-cutting. There will be a climate change resilience plan, because those are the concerns which are coming with rapid urbanization, which will also be in the GBA. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think this also brings us to another exercise which we are doing is, again, along with Niti and other ministries, is to find out a methodology for calculating GDP at the city level. So I think that will really bring to the fore how these new institutional mechanisms are being strengthened, and how do we really see the outcome in terms of GDP, and we can also do a cross-city analysis. I think, Madam, you have to leave now. It was really a great honor for us to have you with us. And if you could please come and give... Okay, thank you. Now I turn upon to Shri Anand Iyer, who is the Chief Policy and Insights Officer from Janaagraha. We are aware that Odisha has formulated a rural-urban transition policy, and Janaagraha was involved in that. So what are the most valuable learnings from this journey, and what are the challenges that the state has met in its implementation, and what role do you envision for the community? If you could kindly bring to the fore. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, also for having me here. Simultaneously lucky and unlucky to be the last speaker. I leave you to imagine how. Just taking a step back out of Odisha first, I think the nature of the problem, and which is why Odisha in several ways has been at the forefront of urban in the country the last decade. We're talking about 4,000 towns which are currently being governed as rural. There are 24,000 villages in the country which are showing urban characteristics. This accounts for about 50% of what we call statutorily urban today. So you can imagine it's a 1.5 times that is waiting to be notified as urban, though it is urban in all senses of the word. Only half of Indian states have set criteria and processes in their municipal acts for how to recognize something as urban as different from the census definitions. Which means there is a lack of framework. There are types of urbanization. A rural body may grow to become urban. Few of them may come together to become urban. One may merge into a neighboring urban. So there are various types. It is more nuanced than the acts have provisions for. Mr. Nagar has already pointed out wonderfully the political reluctance and the financial implications, so I don't need to go into that. Principal problems, and which is true for the whole country, and Odisha took them seriously. One is that there is a process, but it's almost like a natural process. Every year, every few years, some villages will be notified as urban. But there is a certain ad hoc or a naturalism about it. So this ad hoc nature, the political side will kind of make a proposal saying it's becoming increasingly difficult. Then it will go to the CM, and then it will come down to the urban and the collector, and then finally the process makes. The second more important one is that it is abrupt. The decision is held in abeyance till the political winds are right, and then at a stroke of a pen something is notified as urban. And then it is left to their own devices and of the nearby urban area how to manage this. And in terms of planning, one does a very wonderful red line called a Lal Dora or a Gauthan or something, and then get on with it. There are pre-notification and post-notification challenges. So these are some of the pre-notification challenges. The fact that there is no process, your legal and regulatory will change from buildings and land to taxes. Your finances will change. Your human resource needs will change. So Odisha took this on a little squarely, and one like a mantra that I can give here is a transition window. Think of it as a period. Like Madam was saying, we were involved in the process, and public systems change takes years, and which is the nature of our organization. We are committed to it. It took a few years for it to be formulated, consulted, notified, gazetted. That's 23. very opportunely done because 26 is the municipal elections. That 3 year is called the window during which the Gram Panchayat and the office bearers continue to remain, but you are preparing for the municipal elections which will be in 2026. Mr. Nagar pointed out that the funds will continue. The rural funds will continue. Meanwhile, the urban department is already aware of so many areas that will convert to urban and has started devolving funds. 100 crores in the last budget was only for rural urban transition in the state's budget. May not sound like much from the large cities that we live in, but you must look at some villages which have a few lakh budgets, 15 lakhs and 20 lakhs is their annual budget. 100 crore is for the entire state for 1 year. So that's the attention. The term ends and you prepare for a transition plan. You see, it's not often a village, you kind of notionally think that the village boundary, the entire boundary will become urban. That's not true. So that is not how the merger happens, which means wards need to be delimited. You need to understand who is reporting of which assets. Himachal Pradesh, we recently learnt, city is still trying to take control of the assets that belong to the erstwhile village, though it is fully merged and urban now. So there are these struggles that are continuing to happen. It goes to court and things like that. Then you augment. I think, and the final one is not just additional funds, but also any new cadres, the new executive officers, new ward officers. How do you augment? You get the certain period of time. The last is a hub and spoke arrangement. So in addition to the steering committee at state level, which is a rather common thing for managing budgets and HR as well, which are different departments, you have the state urban development agency, the SUDA, which acts as a hub. And then you have the district urban development entities, which kind of collect the proposals from the various collectors and are able to create the plan. In essence, if you talk about lessons, I think it's just a simple process. Identify, notify, I think everyone does. It's the manner in which they do it that is at question here. Empower, consult, and transit. You have to empower first, and I think that is the main point of the lessons. The master plan has to recognize that a new area is coming in, and there needs to be independent strengths. There is character here. It does not have to lose its character while merging with the other. However, it has to bring its strengths to the table and bring its infrastructure and services to par. Financial impacts, and these are both in your own source revenues, there will be significant impact. In the nature in which you need to spend, there will be significant impact. I think the next session will talk about this. There needs to be an infrastructure and service roadmap. So you always have an as is and to be. Not only in money, not only in people, but also in your basic SLBs of infrastructure and services. You need to know where you are today in the services you are offering and where you will get. I think these are the principal lessons. I'll just end with the citizen participation. It's a completely different topic, but I'll talk only in context of this. In Odisha, it's been more of a principle rather than a checklist item. So there is nothing that is ever done without consulting at large. The earlier government was there for 5 election tenure, 5 terms. I think principle is subsidiarity. First of all, what can go down to the lowest level must go down. Take it to the mohalla or the ward, as the National Commission had also said. They can opine on projects. They can opine on prioritization. Now the executive has the job to plan and prioritize according to the means that it has and the implications that are pan-city. That you can't expect a ward or a mohalla person to do. Subsidiarity and centricity. All of your urban plans and projects, if they are not finally going to lead to quality of life improvement, then there is a problem here, and this citizen centricity is something that we work with. We work with the Slum Developers Association in the Jaga mission and the self-help groups that were formed under the mission 5G, which merges with the Urban Wage Employment Guarantee Scheme called Mukta. In a combination of this, the slum dwellers have to be the members of that slum. You include the people who actually build the infrastructure in the rest of the city. And there is a model just in Odisha. We are of course working with Ward Samiti Balagas in Karnataka as well. The Shri model is also there. So I think these two are not disparate subjects. They need to be woven and woven very consciously and categorically. Thank you.
Thank you. And bringing to the audience the good practices in local governance in the state of Odisha, and it is really a great learning for the other states as well. I take this opportunity to thank all the panelists for being with us this morning.